I want to talk to you about something that most freelancers struggle with, and I'm not referring to people who are not earning or who are just starting out. I'm talking about people who have a proven skill set, who have clients, who have literally everything they need to land an international client, but still they are facing this problem. How many times it has happened that you get on a call with a potential lead from the United States or from Europe or from Middle East or from Southeast Asia, and you get on a call, everything just goes as you had planned. They are interested in you, they ask you genuine questions, they just throughout the call they are very keen to know about your process, your payment terms and everything else, and you answer each question that they ask in absolute detail as you possibly can. You articulate it meticulously, and still after the call, what happens? Nothing happens. After the call, it's absolute proper silence. And the thing with this thing is that most freelancers after this point, they just start second guessing their entire process, their entire existence, because what happens is you need to see it from a macro and micro level both. When somebody just directly denies you, you have one important thing, you got one thing from it, that is closure. But when someone shows absolute interest, is keen in your process, and has made you already feel like that you are gonna get this entire contract for yourself, and then you don't even hear back from them, that's where the self-doubt starts creeping in. And after this point, what the majority does is they're gonna revamp the portfolio. They're gonna start working more on random skills. They will just watch random YouTube videos. They'll start watching more of their earlier client recordings. So they try to figure out an issue that they need to solve. Because when you don't get closure, you try to come up with an alternative to it. Well, let me tell you very clearly, international clients, they do not hesitate to buy from you. It's not because you are not good. The main issue here is that you are not predictable. They cannot predict you. You are absolutely mysterious. Now, the kind of movies and dramas and soap operas we have watched, it feels like that being mysterious is a very good thing. Turns out when in reality someone has to pay you, they want you to be predictable. And that's what I'm gonna tell you exactly from the client's mindset and their perspective, what they are actually looking for. International clients, they are not buying skills first. Your skills are secondary. What they are buying is actually safety. And safety comes from predictability. So when they are on that call with you, what they are looking for apart from you getting the job done is that how much mental bandwidth, how much pain is it gonna be for me to work with this person? Because if they make a bad hire, it's not just about the money. It's about the team that they have. It's about their entire structural organizational flow that will be hampered if they make a bad hire, because they are hiring somebody from another continent, from another country that they have nothing to know about. There is no similarity. They have just seen your portfolio. They are just getting to know you on this call. So on this call, your job is to eliminate all the uncertainties while making sure that you are the best possible fit for this profile that they have. So even if you are skilled, the client's brain is still looking for one thing: how much trust can I put in this person to get this thing done? And here is where it gets more interesting. What usually freelancers say is that we are, having this much years of experience. Like, I have 5 years of experience. I have catered to these many clients. I have made the clients this much amount of money. Now, all these are claims. You are making claims. What they are looking for is clarity. And most freelancers, they don't even realize that they are actually creating uncertainties in very small ways. Let me give you an example from my personal journey. So there was a time when I used to get on these calls, and after the call, I was like, okay, let me know what you think. And that's it. The call used to end. Then, okay, we were just like, we exchange the greetings and they'll be like, yeah, okay, let me know. And from a client's perspective, when I see it now, when I look back and see it, do you see how many uncertainties you just created here? You didn't tell them what is the next step. The client is wondering now, like, we talked, now what am I gonna do? Like, I just have to tell this person whether I like him or not, whether we are going forward or not. But from your side, as the freelancer, why didn't you tell him that, okay, after this call, I'm gonna send you a document which will list out all the things that we have discussed. I'll send you this XYZ proposal, this XYZ draft. So you take a little bit of pain and you reduce those uncertainties. Instead of just creating it randomly from your side, you just tell the client that, hey, look, we have talked. Now I'm gonna take the charge from here on. As a freelancer, as a service provider, as an independent contractor, you can never sit idle and say that, well, the client is gonna tell me. You always have to be that bug that goes to the client with good things. Like, you go to the client with things that he feels stupid to even refuse to. And people, I don't know why you guys are so hesitant to provide things out for free. Even if you provide it for free, there is no harm. You can actually tell it and sell it in your portfolio. You are not losing anything. But what is the upside? The upside is that client really likes you because you are taking that pain which majority is never gonna take, and you will get the money that the majority is never gonna make from this client and from the future clients. This was one of the gaps. Now the second gap is the communication rhythm, and this is what I have personally experienced as well. Most of the freelancers, either you are hyperactive or you are hyperly inactive. Either you are just replying to me very quickly, or I'm just waiting for 24-48 hours to hear back from you. There has to be a rhythm. That is what builds predictability again. When you reach out to your best friend, you know that this person is gonna get back to me by this time or by this time, and if this person doesn't gets back to me by this time, I'm just gonna call this person and I'll ask like, what's up? Because this is the predictability. This is the predictability factor that you have with your friend, right? You need the same with your clients. Not saying make clients your friend, but that is exactly what that person is expecting when he is potentially gonna pay you money. And even before he pays you the money, all these things, they matter to him. The fun fact about international clients is, and no matter how bad it sounds, they are any day gonna hire somebody who is consistently predictable over someone who is very highly skilled but have got poor communication skills. The next big gap is actually the process. Now you can be incredible at your work, but if you cannot define and break down it step by step, the client is never gonna be satisfied. The client's brain, it is always thinking in the future, not in the present. You are on the call, that means that you have actually cleared some thresholds that other people haven't. Now what they are looking for there is like, what happens if we disagree? What does done? I have got this. Like he said this to me, like what does that mean? What if there are deadline issues? What if we need an impromptu change? And like you would really feel confident saying that, oh, don't worry about it, I've got this. Now that feels confident to you, but to the client, it signals as unreliable. So make this a habit, make definite answers to certain questions, that when they are asked to you, like if I ask you what's your process, better walk me through everything that you have and ask me if I have any other counter questions or not, because you have to kill all those uncertainties. So when you answer that, don't worry, I have got all this, like you feel confident about it. But to the client, that feels like gambling. They are not paying you to be confident. They are paying you to be actually certain. And it's your job to bring them that certainty and not being that unreliable person. Another example is timelines. Now freelancers think that if you are being very flexible, then you are doing a good thing. But from the client's perspective, it's actually sounding like vagueness. And if you say, I can probably deliver in a week, it depends, they hear this might slip. If you say we can figure it out on the go, they hear there is no plan. If you say I'm available whenever, they hear that this person doesn't have any structure. And again, none of this means that you are bad. It just means that you are not predictable. And that predictability factor not being there is costing you this client. Now, let me tell you something that's gonna even make it click more harder to you. When a client is 60% convinced, they are looking for an option, a reason to say yes to you. And when they ghost you, it doesn't mean that they are evil. Now, I told you again, if they're 60% convinced, they're looking for another 40% reason to say yes to you. And what happens during this stage is they talk to you and they ghost you, because ghosting is easier than initiating a difficult conversation, because they are not convinced, they are very uncertain. And most of the time, people default to the default option, which in this case would be just to ghost and talk to somebody else, compare to anyone else in the market. And when they do that process, they are gonna go with someone who actually made them feel more calmer, not in terms of a very high skill set, but that other person would be predictable. Now that is the reason why you will see that most of the people who are not anywhere near your skill set will have good clients, and you would blame the markets or the odds for this, but in reality they did a better job than you in terms of convincing the client that they are the safest bet to go with, irrespective of the other flaws they might have that you can see. That's why your competition is thriving every single day, because they are doing something that you are not doing. You are lagging. It's as simple as that. It's not luck, it's not odds, it's just pure implementation of the structure. So if you are good and you still face all this hesitation, the goal is not to become more skilled or stuff like that. The goal is to become more predictable, because if you already have clients, then that means that your skill and services are working. But you need another thing to make the client feel more predictable and trusted in your processes. I want you to look back at your last few international conversations and notice something. How many times the client hesitate at the exact moment where they need predictability? Right after the call, right after they asked you about the timelines, right after they asked you about your process, right after they asked you about the pricing, right after they asked you about the communication processes and stuff like that. These questions, they are not curiosity questions. They are safety questions, and safety is a very big element in the service-based industry, in the freelancing industry. Safety is what gets paid. When a client asks you, what is your process? They are not looking for a cute answer. What they are looking for is like, do you have a structure that keeps you in check, or am I gonna manage you emotionally for the next 1 month? Similarly, when they ask you about what's your work process, they are not actually looking for the entire A to Z breakdown that you should actually give it. But what they are back of their head looking for is, are you gonna come to me with all the solutions, or am I gonna be the one chasing you the entire time? This is what they want to know. And the more you explain about your process, the clearer it becomes to them that, okay, if you explain that I do this, I send it for your approval, then you approve it, then I make those edits, then I'll send it over to you again for your approval, and even before final posting, we'll just go through it once so that in case you have changed your mind or something else has come up, and then you have to make them feel like they're involved in the process and they have not got to chase you. You have got it covered. But don't just say I've got it covered. Tell them how you have got it covered. Insert that safety element. Once you start hearing these questions properly, the game for you changes. Now, I know you have never looked at it like this. I even hadn't looked at it like this until I started, and when I started looking at these things like this, now there is no going back, because I understand what that person is actually in the back of the head, what they want to hear. I know that. And I'm gonna make sure that they hear that. Now, before I end this video, I want to make one thing very clear. If you are stuck in the range of $1,000 to $500 a month, the question is usually why? Why are you stuck in that range? And that is because that every time you get new clients, or you are just trying to upsell to your existing clients, the trust compounding factor is missing. What you really need is, you need compounding trust. Like, that simply means that the person you are working with, or the new person that you are willing to work with, they should be trusting you enough, and whatever they are trusting you with, over time, that should get compounded. Like, they should trust you even more and more with the job in the process and getting the things done. So the next time you get off a call with such clients and you don't hear back from them, instead of randomly doing and binge watching videos and beating yourself up, just sit down, go through the call again in your head, or see your transcribe on your screens, and figure out what was the part that created that hesitation. Because hesitation only comes from not being very clear, and clarity can be designed. It's just a matter of how you put words. It's just a matter of how I told you the entire process, how I walked you through everything. So now you have no uncertainty regarding whatever I told you, because I explained you entirely step by step what is it that you're gonna do, how does that impact you, how does that impact the client, and how this thing, if you fix it, is gonna make you more money, how you are gonna be more trustworthy and someone who can be just hired right off the bat because you have it sorted out. Also, before wrapping this up, I have some news. A couple days back, I told you guys my website would be live real soon, and it's now live, gtladder.com. You'll find the link in the description. And on your request and suggestions, I have also put out all the newsletter editions, the previous ones, on the website. Alongside that, I've also added 24 blogs of my personal experience about things relating to a lot of other things that you can just see on the website. So yes, now you have one more source of consuming information that's directly gonna help you scale better, monetize your skills better, and increase your income as a freelancer or a service-based contractor, or an independent contractor for that matter. So I just wanted to tell you guys this. The link is in the description. Go out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care and bye-bye.